The Galactic Council's decree arrived at Oro 600 hours, transmitted across every frequency to ensure no one could claim ignorance. Humans were to be expelled from the Kepler 442 colony within 72 hours. Effective immediately, all contracts were void, all partnerships dissolved, all cohabitation agreements terminated. Melissa Chen stood in the doorway of her HAB unit, reading the message for the third time. Her hands didn't shake. Years working in xenobiology had taught her to maintain composure when the universe threw its worst at her. But her jaw tightened as she scrolled through the legal justifications, each more hollow than the last. Unsuitable for multi-species cooperation. Culturally incompatible with civilized norms. Prone to emotional volatility and irrational attachment. That last one almost made her laugh. Almost. Behind her, soft, chittering sounds emerged from the common area. 3 small shapes huddled together on the cushioned floor. Vrix cubs, barely 2 cycles old, their silver fur still downy and unmarked by the ceremonial patterns their species would earn in adulthood. They'd been her responsibility for 8 months, ever since their parents died in the mining accident on Titan Station. Melissa, mother? The smallest one, Kip, looked up with eyes too large for his face. The light words say you go? She knelt beside them, running her fingers through Kip's fur in the soothing pattern he loved. The council says all humans have to leave Kepler 442. But don't worry, Burak and I will make sure you're taken care of. We'll find you a good Vrix family. No. The word came from Sarah, the middle cub, usually the quiet one. We pack too. Sweetling, you can't. We pack too, Sarah repeated, and suddenly all 3 were moving, scrambling toward their sleeping quarters with determined purpose. Melissa pressed her palm against her forehead and activated her comm. Burak, we have a situation. Burak Demir arrived 20 minutes later, his maintenance uniform still dusty from the morning shift at the atmospheric processors. He was a tall man, built solid from years of manual labor, but he moved with surprising gentleness as he entered the HAB unit. They've been packing for 15 minutes, Melissa told him, gesturing helplessly toward the cubs' room. I can't get them to understand. Burak peered through the doorway. The 3 cubs had assembled a chaotic pile of belongings. Data pads loaded with human cartoons, a worn blanket that Melissa had given them, several toys Burak had fabricated in his workshop, and, somehow, an entire jar of the strawberry preserves Earth had shipped in last month. Kip, Burak said softly, you know humans can't take Vrix cubs off-world. The council won't allow it. Kip looked up from stuffing a toy shuttle into a too small bag. Council says you go, not says we stay. It's implied. Big word. Kip wrinkled his snout. Burak father always says, if rule not clear spoken, not real rule. Burak shot Melissa a look. She shrugged. You did teach them that. The next 48 hours blurred together in a frenzy of bureaucratic warfare. Melissa filed 16 formal requests for guardianship transfer, all denied. Burak contacted every Vrix family within the colony. None would take cubs who'd been contaminated by human sentiment. The local council representative, a Vrix administrator named Vex Thorn, was particularly unsympathetic. Your emotional attachment to the younglings is precisely why humans are unsuitable, Vex Thorn said, his silver fur marked with the sharp geometric patterns of authority. You've taught them irrational loyalty. They'll be placed in a proper creche facility where such sentimentality can be corrected. They're children, Melissa said, keeping her voice level despite the rage building in her chest. They've already lost their parents. Now you want to take away the only family they know? They are cubs of the Vrix collective. They belong with their people. Vex Thorn's tone suggested the conversation was over, but Melissa had never been good at accepting over. At midnight on the second day, Burak found her in his workshop. surrounded by legal texts and shipping manifests. "There's no loophole," he said gently. "I've been looking too." "There's always a loophole." She pulled up another document. "What about the Orphan Protection Clause in the Galactic Charter?" "Doesn't apply to species-segregated situations." "The right of continuation for established guardianships?" "Superseded by the expulsion order." Melissa slammed her hand on the desk. "Then the system is broken." "Yes," Burak agreed, "but we can't fix it in 24 hours. A small voice came from the workshop entrance. "Then we break more." They turned. All three cubs stood there, dragging their overstuffed bags. Sarah stepped forward, her posture mimicking the confidence she'd seen in Melissa countless times. "Council says humans go. Says nothing about cubs who choose go too." Kip nodded enthusiastically. "We not property, we people. People choose." The youngest, Pip, who rarely spoke, added quietly, "We choose family." Burak and Melissa exchanged a long look, the kind that passed between people who'd worked together in the harsh environments of space colonies, where trust wasn't given lightly and partnerships meant survival. "If we do this," Burak said slowly, "we'll be violating a dozen interstellar laws." "If we don't," Melissa countered, "we're abandoning children who trust us. The Council will pursue us." "Let them." Burak ran a hand through his dark hair, then looked at the three cubs standing in his doorway, bags packed, eyes hopeful and determined and utterly convinced that their humans wouldn't let them down. "Well," he said finally, a slight smile tugging at his lips, "humans have always been good at being the galaxy's troublemakers." The Prairie Wind launched from Kepler 442 at 500 hours, 3 hours before the expulsion deadline. It was registered as a cargo vessel carrying 2 human passengers and miscellaneous personal effects. Miscellaneous effects that chittered softly in the cargo bay, curled together under a blanket, finally sleeping peacefully. In the cockpit, Melissa plotted a course toward the outer colonies, the places where council authority grew thin and questions weren't asked. Burak sat beside her, already compiling a list of settlements that might welcome an unusual family. "We'll be fugitives," Melissa said. "We'll be together," Burak replied. Behind them, Kip's sleepy voice drifted forward. "Melissa mother, Burak father, we really pack good." "Yes?" "Yes, little one," Melissa called back, her voice thick with emotion she no longer bothered to hide. "You packed perfectly." As the Prairie Wind cleared the colony's orbital zone, Melissa thought about the Council's accusations. Irrational attachment, emotional volatility, unsuitable for cooperation. Maybe they were right. Maybe humans did form bonds too quickly, love too fiercely, fight too stubbornly for those they considered family. But as 3 small cubs slept safely in her cargo bay, trusting absolutely in the humans who refused to abandon them, Melissa decided that maybe, just maybe, that was humanity's greatest strength after all. The Council wanted them gone? Fine. But humans never traveled alone. Not when it mattered. Not when family chose to pack their things too. End.